everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and in today's video I'm going to be reading 5-star predictions. So before I get into the video, please remember to like it if you enjoy and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. I primarily read fantasy, thriller and romance books and I post videos every Sunday. So let's get into the video. So I've got 4 books picked out for this reading vlog, and funnily enough, they kind of all have blue covers apart from one. So there was a bit of a theme, but these are books that I think I'm going to give 5 stars for various reasons. So the first book for this vlog is going to be Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I bought this one last year. I know that it's well loved by pretty much everyone who reads it. I don't know too much about it and I'm really excited to get into this one, and it'll be my first Fredrik Backman book that I've read. Next up is a thriller, which is Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh. This one is a 5-star prediction because the first book I read by Claire Mackintosh I gave 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. The second one was like a very high 4-star rating, almost a 5-star. So I think this could be potentially a 5-star read. Next up I have The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I've been wanting to read this one for a while and I recently bought this one at 66 Books. Kristin Hannah is making like a bit of a resurgence on BookTube, which I'm loving to see. I read The Nightingale by her a couple of years ago and gave that one 5 stars, and I've heard really good things about this one in particular. So yeah, this could potentially be a 5-star for me. And then finally we have The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, which is the 4th secret project book that he has written. This one I think could potentially be a 5-star for me because I love Brandon Sanderson and it's highly likely that I will give this a 5-star. I give a lot of his books 4 stars or above, so this could be a 5-star. So I think the first book I'm going to start with is going to be The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. So I'm just popping in with my first reading update for this vlog. So I'm currently about 160 odd pages through The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. Just read the first part and I'm just about to start reading about the year 1978. So the first part was about the year 1974. So in this one we follow a family from the little girl's perspective. I say little girl, she's 13 at the start of this book, and her name's Lenny. So Lenny lives with her parents, and one day her dad comes home. He is a war veteran, he fought in Vietnam, and ever since then he's had extreme PTSD. He can't hold down a job, he's really struggling and he won't accept any help. We don't know this at the very start, but it's kind of implied that the relationship is a little bit abusive between him and his wife, Lenny's mum, Cora. His name's Ernst and the mum's name's Cora, and then we've got Lenny as well. And he comes home one day with a letter and basically tells the family that they're all moving to Alaska. A friend from the war has left him his property and they're gonna basically go and live in a homestead and basically get back to basics, you know, hunt for their food, use an old-fashioned washing machine, all that kind of stuff. And he doesn't really give them much choice, and because the relationship is quite abusive, like Lenny's mum Cora will do anything to make him happy, and she's sort of, this would be good for him, he's going to be different this time, etc, etc. They move to Alaska, they're obviously extremely unprepared, but the community sort of rallies around them, helps them out. They've gotten to their first winter in Alaska and Ernst has become extremely abusive. I think the abuse happened at home as well, but it's more obvious, as Lenny said, now that they live in basically a one room cabin, he can't hide his abuse of Cora. He believes that like Cora is flirting with another man, and he gets really riled up and basically punches her, and it's awful to read. And then Lenny tries to make her mum leave. They get into an accident and end up in the hospital, and obviously she goes back to Ernst, and we've just gotten to the point where basically the other people in the community, one of them called Large Marge, comes to confront Ernst and basically says like, you're gonna go and work away for the rest of winter and I'm moving into your house and looking after your wife and your child until you can like sort yourself out, basically. So that's where we've gotten up to. One thing as well that I really don't like about Lenny's mum and dad's relationship is the fact that Cora was 16 and Ernst was 25 when they first got together. I was like, like, it's not even the 10 years, because like when you think of like 40 and 30 or like 50 and 40, like there's not really, that's not bad, but like what does a 25-year-old see in a 16-year-old? 25 is an adult, 16 is a teen. Ooh, no, doesn't sit right with me. So I think that, I guess that is part of the abuse. Like he has groomed her from such a young age, and it's really difficult to read how she like justifies what he does to her, like, oh well, you know, I was flirting with another man, or like he does it because he loves me kind of thing. It's just really difficult to read, and I think Kristin Hannah really handles topics like this with sensitivity. Like she's a fantastic author. It's quite difficult to read in parts, but like I don't know if enjoying the story, like I'm enjoying the story. Like, I really hope that Lenny can convince her mum to pluck up the courage to leave him. I'm interested to see what happens. Obviously, we go a bit forward in time. We've gone from 1974, we're going to move into 1978. So I'm interested to see what happens with this. As well, there's a little bit of a storyline with Lenny and a boy in her class at school. So the school in Alaska has like 9 pupils, and she makes friends with a boy her age, and there's a little bit of a blossoming romance perhaps. He's moved away, his mum was killed in an accident, and he's really struggling with his grief as well, and his dad makes him go back to like the big city to decide what he wants, decide if he wants to live in Alaska or have another life for himself. Funnily enough, the man that Cora supposedly flirts with is Matthew's dad. So I'm interested to see if maybe Cora will leave Ern, what's going to happen there. And actually just reading about life in Alaska, about like the homestead and how they have to learn to like kill the wolves. Like a pack of wolves comes and attacks their animals, and then they have no food. Like, it's really quite difficult to read, but it's absolutely fantastic. Like, Kristen Hanna, like I said, she handles these topics with great sensitivity. You can tell it's quite well researched and she knows what she's talking about. And yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. Like, I'm glad I'm reading this one. It's definitely, could potentially be a 5-star. I think we'll see what happens. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. So I'm going to get back to reading. Okay, so I'm just coming in with a reading update. So I did finish The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And indeed, this was a 5-star prediction. This is a 5-star read for me. The only criticism I have of it is that I wish maybe the ending was a bit more fleshed out. And not that it wasn't a satisfying ending or a good ending, it's just I wanted to spend a bit more time with the characters and like the resolution of this book. So this was extremely hard-hitting, quite difficult to read, very emotional. But I think Kristen Hanna dealt with this really sensitively. And I also read in the acknowledgements that she herself and her family had lived in Alaska, and like the story, like the basis of the story was kind of based on her own experiences of living in Alaska and the history that she is aware of, I guess, from her time spent in Alaska. So yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. I would definitely be wary going into this if things like domestic abuse and things like that can trigger you. Obviously, I said the plot, sort of the main plot of this book is an abuse storyline, how we go from there, and I think it was just really beautiful is not the right word for this story. It was really hard-hitting, but in a good way, and it really made you see different sides of life and how people might put on a front, but they could be really struggling, and you just never know what someone's going through. And you think as well, like, these women, you think they can't suffer any more than they have, and they just really do. And it was nice that the ending was kind of a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. Obviously, it was still quite difficult to read with what happened to some of the characters, but it was all about like community and things like that. It was just really beautiful, and yeah, just a fantastic story, and I'm really glad I read it. It's definitely different to what I usually read. I definitely don't tend to lean more towards like literary fiction and things like that, but I think Kristen Hanna is definitely an author I will be picking up more of in future. Like I said, I really enjoyed The Nightingale by her, really enjoyed this one, so I'm excited to read other books by her. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, this one. So the next book I think I'm going to read for this vlog, because I do want to read Beartown, but I think that one is also going to like emotionally destroy me, and I don't think I can really cope with it right now. I think I'm going to read The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. I think I just need a bit of a different kind of change of pace, different sort of story. So all I know about this one is it's a secret project, it's a Cosmo novel, so I'll get reading and I'll come back when I've got a bit of a synopsis for you. Hey guys, so I'm just checking in. I have started reading The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. Just about 170 pages in, just under, and I'm really enjoying this one so far, but I don't think it's going to be a 5-star read for me. So in this one we follow our main character Nomad, and he is able to like hop worlds. So he's being chased by something called the Night Brigade, so he hops worlds in order to escape them, and eventually his powers become a bit too depleted and he gets stranded on a world where basically they have to like outrun the sun, and they have to keep moving. If they stop, the sun will catch up with them and destroy them, is what I understand about this. Yeah, so it says Nomad finds himself trapped on Canticore, a planet that will kill anyone who doesn't keep moving. Fleeing the fires of a sunrise that melts the very stones, he is instantly caught up in the struggle between a heartless tyrant and the brave rebels who defy him. There's some politics going on in this world as well. So everyone's like on the run from the sun essentially, and when Nomad lands, he's kind of like taken prisoner, and this guy called the Cinder King, he tries to take Nomad captive, and what he does is he turns these people into some sort of like charred being. It's not really explicitly said, but it's kind of like zombie-like what happens to them, and then they end up sort of working for him, and he finds himself getting a bit tied up with the rebels against the Cinder King, and we just kind of go from there really. He's trying to help them defeat the Cinder King, or maybe even get off of this world to a safer place. Like with Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I do find some of the aspects of this world aren't very well explained, but I guess we're just kind of along for the ride. As we go on, things are being explained a bit more, so I'm enjoying this one definitely a lot more than Yumi and the Nightmare painter. I still think my favourite secret project is going to be Tress the Emerald Sea. It's really interesting in this one as well, the connections we have to the Cosmere as a whole. I was reading, like, I've gotten some of the references, so there's obviously very big relations to Stormlight Archive. Nomad speaks Lethe and he knows about Russia, and we've got mentions of Wit, and we've got like the sprites and stuff, so there's very obvious connections there. And I was actually sort of reading a bit of a Reddit thread about this, and some people are like just so clever. Like, I get the references, but some of them have just gone completely over my head, and I'm just like, oh my god, yeah, that's a connection. Like, it's so interesting how this one is really, really deeply tied into the Cosmere, more so than the other ones, I would say. Like, Frugal Wizard I don't think has any connections. Yumi had connections, but they weren't really very well developed or fleshed out. Tress I think had a couple of connections, but they weren't so obvious. With this one is like glaringly obvious, and like it makes sense. This is really, really good so far. I don't think it's a 5-star read for me, just because of these, not issues, but like I'm just not loving it as much as his other works that I've given 5 stars. I definitely think this is going to be a very strong 4-star read for me. It's really quick, really compelling. I'm really interested in the plot and what's going on, and yeah, just really having a good time with this one. So I'm going to carry on reading, and I'll check back in with you guys when I've finished it. Okay, so I have now finished reading The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, and this one is definitely a 4-star read. So still a really, really good book, just not a 5-star read for me. So I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed his other works, but I think with Brandon Sanderson, he is such a good writer that like Mistborn and Stormlight is it's on such a high pedestal for me that it's really difficult to, if anything else, to beat that, if that makes sense. So this is a really, really good novel, really, really good installment in the Cosmere as a whole. Like, it was really fun to read about character from Stormlight in a different setting, and really in the future. I think this is set in the future after Stormlight, so there was kind of like a few hints as to maybe what's going to happen in there. And yeah, it was just really fun. It's fun to get like just a fun installment in the Cosmere, because like Stormlight is pretty serious and like Mistborn is fun, but they're quite serious fantasy books, whereas like this is more fun, sort of lower stakes fantasy. And yeah, it was just fun. Like, the world was kind of interesting. It just wasn't really my thing. The pacing in this was a little bit off for me, so I feel like the first 100 or so pages was really, really fast, and then the next sort of 200 pages were just a bit running around, not really achieving a lot, just doing the same thing over and over, and then the last bit was wrapped up pretty quickly. And I understand why it was wrapped up pretty quickly. If you've read this book, you'll know, but it just wasn't the best, but it was fun. So yeah, 4 stars for this one. I'm glad I've finally read this one. That's all the secret projects done now as well, which I'm really, really happy with. And I don't think I've actually got any Brandon Sanderson on my TBR now. I'll have to check that. So the next book I'm going to be reading for this vlog is going to be Bear Town by Frederick Buckman. Okay, so I'm just coming in with a quick reading update that I think none of you are really going to like. I'm DNFing Bear Town. Yeah, this isn't for me. I got like 50 pages through, and I just don't like this writing style or this storytelling style. And I find this with a few authors, I feel like it's very over the top, as in we don't really need to know the ins and outs of every single character's life. So we haven't even gotten to the event that divides the town yet. Like, well, I don't think we're even anywhere near that. I don't know when exactly it happens, but so far in the first 50 pages, all that's really happened is we're setting up some of the like key players in the hockey team and people who are involved in the hockey team, and then like their wives and things like that. And one of the coaches of the team is going to get sacked, and all we've kind of done is talk about how he's going to be sacked, and nothing has happened yet. And I just don't really like this storytelling style. So we have one perspective, say we have Peter, the general manager of the hockey team, and in his perspective he mentions like Benji, one of the stars of the hockey team. We then go to Benji just doing some random thing, and then back to Peter, and then he mentions someone else, and we go to that perspective of just doing a random thing. And yeah, I just was really not enjoying it, and I cannot push myself to read what, like a 400, nearly 500 page book. Yeah, like 480 odd pages, and then the fact that there's a second and a third book, which obviously I don't have to read even if I read the first one. I just can't do it. It's just not for me, and I know that that is an unpopular opinion. I was expecting to give this book a 5-star, hence it being in this video, but this is not a writing style that I enjoy, so I don't think I'm going to be trying anything else out from this author. I just find sometimes with popular authors, they're just not really my vibe. Simone St. James is another author. I just don't really like her storytelling style. Shari LaPenna, I've tried her and I just don't really vibe with them, and I feel like Frederick Buckman kind of fits in with those kind of storytelling vibes, which I just don't really gel with. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion. I know that like everyone gives this book a 4 or a 5-star rating. Like, even on Goodreads there's not that many 1 or 2-star reviews, but I just can't force myself to read a book just because it's popular. I'm just not enjoying it, and there's so many other books that I would rather read, which is a shame because I did really want to to read this one. I was saving it for like a video like this. I was hoping to love it. You know, I never pick up a book thinking I'm going to hate it. I want to love every book I read, and unfortunately this just isn't really for me, so I'm going to be DNFing this one and moving on to the final book for this vlog. So I've started reading the final book for this vlog, which is Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh. So in this one we're following our main character Anna, and in the previous year both of her parents committed suicide in the exact same way. So her mother and father owned a car company, I think it's called like Johnson's Cars, with the husband's brother, so Anna's uncle. Maybe sort of like a year and a half ago, Anna's dad went to a cliff, filled a backpack full of rocks and jumped off and committed suicide. And then about 7 months later after this event, Anna's mother also did the exact same thing. And then on the 1-year anniversary of her mother's death, Anna receives a card in the post that basically implies that it wasn't suicide, it was murder. Now, Anna's always believed that her parents didn't really commit suicide, or they were forced into doing it, but the police believe it was an open and shut suicide case, or double suicide case. During the sort of year since her parents have died, Anna started therapy to cope with her grief, and she ended up entering a relationship and having a baby with her therapist. So we've gotten to the point where Anna has received this card, she's gone to the police, and we're also following the perspective of a police detective, but a retired police detective who's just kind of helping out on the desk every now and again. So he's supposed to not be involved in any cases anymore. He's supposed to sort of take reports and give them to the appropriate person, but he decides to look into Anna's case of this card. So one day as well, Anna opens the door and there's like a dead rabbit left on the porch, but there is way too much blood for it to have been like a sort of fox that killed it, or you know, it looks like there's been fake blood splashed around the porch as well. So he's looking into this, but he's not supposed to be. He's hoping to gather enough evidence, sort of do most of the work and then hand it over to the correct people, because he believes that if he just hands over this card that they won't look into it, and he believes there's something up here as well. So this one is really interesting so far. We've got quite a pool of sort of potential suspects. Like, we're finding out quite a bit about some of the characters, like Anna's boyfriend, the uncle, there's a lot, you know, the neighbour. There's sort of plenty of people that sort of had a motive to potentially murder, but obviously it wasn't a murder, it was made to look like a suicide. So I'm really interested to see what actually happened here. I think Claire Mackintosh's writing and her pacing is really well done. We're not moving too quickly, we're not moving too slow, we're getting details and reveals sort of as and when we need them to really keep the story flowing well. So I'm really interested to see what is going to happen with this one. I am about 150 pages into this one. This shouldn't really take me too long to read, so I'll check back in with you guys when I'm done. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. I'm not sure so far if it's going to be like a 5-star read for me. I think potentially it's definitely gonna be a 4-star. I think it depends on the twists and the endings. With my first Claire Mackintosh book that I read, I Let You Go, I gave that one 5 stars. That was absolutely fantastic. And then the next one, I think I See You, was a 4-star. It was really good, but just not as good as that one. So yeah, she's on a bit of a high pedestal really. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what is going to happen with this one, and I'll check back with you guys when I finish this one. Okay, so I'm just coming in to wrap this reading vlog up. I did finish reading Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh, and I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. So not quite a 5-star, but still really good. This had lots of twists that I didn't see coming. I thought that the final reveals were really interesting. We had a third point of view of sort of the person who was potentially behind everything that was happening to Anna, and we didn't know who that perspective was from. Claire Mackintosh is very good at like leading you on to think a certain thing and then completely twisting you on your head. So yeah, she's a really good thriller author. I'd highly recommend if you haven't read one of her books. But yeah, for me, I Let You Go is definitely her best works. This was still really good though, and I'm excited to read the rest of her books really. She's got quite a few out, so I'm interested in reading those. I really like how she puts in the detectives like perspective, and it's not just the police work, you also get a bit about their lives and stuff and how it all links in together with the case. And yeah, it's really good, so really enjoyed this one. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag for this 5-star predictions vlog. So we had a 5-star, we had a DNF, which was really unexpected, and then 2 4-stars, like a 4-star and a 4.5 star. So still quite a good reading vlog, I think. You know, some highly rated books and then obviously a DNF, but either way it got them off my TBR, which is really good. So that's going to be it for this reading vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it if you've made it this far. Comment down below if you've read any of these books. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.